I use Abu Garcia Big Game 7000 reels. That's what I usually use now. Most every guy I've ever met that musky fished that started casting for muskies started with the Abu Garcia C3 or C4, either a 5600 or a 6500. They're good. They're a lower level reel. They're semi-durable. They'll take a pounder for a little while. The 7000s I have really liked because when you get near freeze up, they don't freeze up like some of the other reels. They don't have as many external components to freeze up and break and stuff. My wife says I should probably just go home and build snow castles or something, but the Abu Garcia Record 68C, they used to do an Abu Garcia Morum, and I've got about 5 or 6 of those, and they've been good. Most of all the Abu Garcias that I've had, you know, every so often you'll have worm gears go out. That's sort of standard. Your drag rings may go. You may have to send out for those or replace them. And sometimes springs and the push button, the release. Shimano Calcutta, Shimano Corrado 300, and Shimano Torium. I've got a couple 200 Corrados I've had for about 12 years. That's more of a bass style bait. It's probably not really good to throw big heavy baits with, but for your bucktail, spinner baits, top waters, that kind of stuff, it's a great reel, in my opinion. That's a fish I got. This is that one right there, and I'll show you a couple of these reels. These are a couple of the 7000s. They've got oversized handles on them, and they hold quite a bit of line. Not that you really need a lot, but they do. That way when you're getting frayed up, if you're working areas that have rocks or timber and stuff like that, you can always cut off and have plenty of it there. Alright, so that's rods and reels, a few different kinds. A couple things to remember. You get what you pay for. The rods usually last a lifetime unless the kids get a hold of them. Reels may require a little service. I have bought for casting all one-piece rods. I've got buddies. I'm a good guy to watch and use guinea pigs. And I've had buddies that had two-piece rods, and some of them had problems, so I went with all one-piece rods. I don't have any problems with them for the most part. Oversized handles for reels, too. You get extra torque for them off the big handles. And the other thing is it's great for the late fall because if you're wearing gloves and stuff in sub-zero weather. And then longer rods for easier figure eights. If you can find rods that are longer that put the same action into your baits, that's a good way to do it. The oversized handles for the reels, Raleigh and Helens carries about every different kind of reel, musky reel. And if you're not familiar with those guys, their motto is, if they don't have it, you don't need it. And it's a great place to go if you have anything you need for muskies. Good basic setup. If I was going to set up 2 rods for musky fishing, I put 4 in there, but if I was going to do 2 rods, I'll set them up for you and tell you what kind of, I guess, different characteristics that I'd want. Once again, the rod's for the bait. The bait that you pick is going to dictate the action of the rod that you need. So the first one would be a 7/6 to a 9-foot medium heavy or heavy. 3/4 ounce to 6 ounce. That would be for cranks, just your basic crankbaits. Bucktails, you could throw any of your big bucktails to small ones. Your prop style topwaters or spinner baits. And then the next one would be your heavy rod, would be a 6/9 heavy, and to the 8-foot heavy to extra heavy, and those would be rated for 3 to 10 ounce lures. That'd be for big twitch baits, plastics, jerk baits, walk the dog style topwaters. Then I listed 2 other rods. Right now, 8 and 9 foot extra heavy for big plastics. That would be for mojos and big rubber baits like this. live action lures, and big dogs. The dogs, they're coming every year. They're coming out with, you know, bigger. I think it was last year or maybe the year before, they came out with a 2-pounder now. So who knows? You're going to need a cannon to launch them. So this, but 8'9", I can tell you those the big rods on those big plastics really make it nice to cast. The one fish we got a couple years ago was about 47 pounds. We fished 9 days throwing either the mojos or the pounders, not a single follow, not a single strike, and from morning till 2 hours after dark. So for 9 days of throwing it, I mean, it gets taxing and tiring, but the bigger rods really make it a lot easier. The bigger handles make your torque when you're working the baits. And then 6 to 6'3", the extra heavy, they call them shorties. 3 to 8 ounce, that would be a good jigging rod. And I know you guys know Bondi down there, but I always like the short rod when I'm vertical jigging like that. It seems like it's a lot easier as the day wears on. And whether it be Fuzzy Does It's or Joe's, I haven't tried the Bondi baits, but I heard they work well as. All right, it gives us the line. This is an easy one. Only Super Braids. Only Super Braids. Power Pro Tough Line Spider Wire. I have not met, in every place I've ever fished, I've never met a guy that used mono. The two things that I have seen for mono is open water trolling, and I've seen them used sucker fishing up in the Canadian Shield Lakes when your sucker keeps running down into the rocks. And when they do that, you can always give it a twing and it'll pop that sucker back out of the rocks sometimes, and you can walk them back up over the rocks. But other than that, why? Why would you want only Super Braids? One, you are the hook set. You know, it's monofilament, it's got somewhere around 20% stretch, whereas your Super Braids are probably somewhere around 2 to 5. So you impart the action. You got to set the hook on the fish. Using a lot of these big baits here, the hooks are so big, you really got to just be able to bury them. So the other thing is action of the baits. It is maddening sometimes just trying to work big jerk baits when they're far out, let alone if you had any stretch in your line. Like I said, a lot of this, you're dropping your rod tip to get that bait to move, to swing, and with any stretch in your line, it's going to drive you nuts. And then the worst of all, when I was a pike fisherman, was fishing weeds with mono. Oh my God. I'd want to kill myself because it's just, it just drives you crazy. That's nuts. So the Super Braids are good. You can always run some backing with it. I usually run 65 pound to 100 pound. 65 for my topwaters, crankbaits, spinner baits, anything that's going to be not around rocks and stuff, and then 100 pound for the stuff that may be around timber, rocks. So when I go up to the Canadian Shield Lakes, I usually take rods that I've got filled up with 100.